to put away.
Drinking with authors may contain adult content. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Drinking with Authors. I'm host, and tonight I'm drinking Writer's Tears because I still have some left in my bottle. This episode, as all episodes right now, are brought to you by Four Horsemen Publications. That's the number 4. Check them out at their website. They got some great authors there, but one author you're not going to find on that website is Jenn Bouchard. And yes, I did double check with her on the pronunciation of her last name because I didn't want to mess it up. Jenn, I want to welcome you to the show. You are an award-winning author, which we are going to get to. She has written 3 books so far, right? Yes. 2 that are out. One's coming out July 2nd. She's going to tell us about that, and I'll shut up. Welcome to the show. What are you drinking? Tell us about it all.
Hi, Nick. Thanks so much for having me. This is a whiskey sour, and the reason why I chose this tonight, not only do I enjoy them, but it is a cocktail that runs all throughout my second book, which came out last February, which is called Considering Us. And the main character, this is her drink of choice, and there's a whole history with the whiskey sour and Devon Page, the main character.
I've actually read some of the reviews tonight. I always try and do a little bit of research when I can. And Devon Page is a personal chef, if I recall properly.
He is, yeah.
And kind of gets into some trouble, making mistakes.
Some really interesting choices that get her to the point where she loses all of her clients in Boston except for one, who's a reclusive Celtics player. And she ends up having to find another job because Boston, where I live, is a really expensive place, and you can't just survive on one client, even if he's a professional athlete.
Not unless he really likes a lot of food cooked for him all day long.
Exactly.
So, okay, I've read your bio, and this character does not seem autobiographical in any way, shape, or form.
No.
So I have to ask the deep cutting question. Which friend is it based off of?
Could you imagine? The people at book events, I do a lot of in-person book events, and people come up to me and they read the back and they say, "Is this based on a true story?" And I say, "Thank God, no." No.
No, you get that. And the people will read my books, read anyone's books. Oh, is this based on you? No, don't get me wrong. Authors always put a little bit of their influence into books. You know what I'm saying? But like nothing, I think, is that, unless it's an autobiography, is that autobiographical that you can be like, yeah, I did this. And then I met my husband. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It's definitely a thing. But that book is out already, so everyone can go and pick it up and buy it. And the book coming out tell us about the book coming out July 2nd of this year.
Yeah, so Palms on the Cape is coming out July 2nd, and this one is set on Cape Cod. Perfect timing for a July 2nd release. And anyway, it's about Rachel Sinclair. She is the owner of an upscale beach bar. So perfect to talk about beach bars with this podcast. And she's on the verge of turning 40. Everyone's reminding her that she's about to turn 40. And she's got a good life now. She had a rough upbringing, but she has a found family, really good friends, regular customers. She might be in love with her guy best friend, but she's kind of in denial about it. But anyway, one night, a group of people from a Vermont business school, like a study group from a business school, show up at the beach bar, and everything changes from that point forward.
Everything. Okay, so that's all we get. Everything changes when they go to a beach bar. Now, I have to say, I read a review. And it was a good review. It was 5 stars. But the guy who reviewed it left this like disclaimer that he's never read a book like in this genre before. You know which review I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And the guy was hysterical because I'm reading this review. He's like, as a disclaimer, I have no qualifications for reviewing a book like this. I've never read this genre, so I don't have nothing to compare it to. But I did work at a bar similar to one in the book. And I'm freaking dying because he's like, basically like, yeah, this was me. This character is me. I was the bartender in the book. And I understand because I was like, this is the best review because it's honest and it's not trying to like, okay. And there's nothing wrong with the people trying to jazz up their reviews and make them sound all like very almost academic in the way they review books. Those reviews are fun and they're nice because they're informative. I don't even want to say they're fun, they're informative. This guy's review was so much fun. Check it out. This guy's review is on Goodreads.
It is.
And it was
great.
Like the first review there that you can see. And it was just such a funny review. I was like, this guy is going to become a beach read fan. He's going to go and been like, I need to read more beach reads because he's going to live his bartending days through these books.
Yeah, I loved it. When I got that review, I was like, this is the best. I hope they're all like this, but I know they won't be.
No, and I do apologize. I talk more than any host I know.
No, it's fantastic.
I always tell people, people will be like, oh, you're going to host. I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't know what I'm doing. I just talk. But it's fun. You know, like you build a rapport and stuff. But you live up in the New England area in Boston right now, but you lived in Maine for a while, which is where you met your husband. Yeah,
I went to college there, Bates College.
Oh, no, okay. Between Maine and Boston, where would you rather live?
Boston for living for sure. I love going to Maine. When I cross the bridge into Maine, it is like this. It's a similar feeling I get when I go to Cape Cod. You cross the bridge and you're kind of in another world, and you kind of breathe a sigh of relief that you get to be in a different kind of place, a little bit less hustle and bustle. And there's something just kind of relaxing and special about those places.
But not to live, just to visit.
Yeah, I like to. Yeah, I think eventually, my husband and I would like to live on the Cape when, someday, retire. Like, we really truly love it there. We always thought, when we first got married, we were like, oh, we'll go to Maine someday. It's a little too cold, I think.
I got to be honest though, if you're in Boston, you get the ice storms coming in off the ocean.
We do. And we've dealt with all the things, the ice dams on the roof and all kinds of, damage with the house. And it's a whole thing. But I do love living here. And I'm a big Boston sports fan. So, I can get to Fenway Park most days in, 30, 40 minutes. And it's a lot of fun.
See, I've never been to Boston and I want to go for many reasons.
It's great.
One of which is my favorite movie is Good Will Hunting, and I understand it was filmed in Canada. So it's not going to be like a 1-for-1 when I go, but some of the
But you can find some of the locations for sure. And great movie. And oh my gosh, yeah.
And I just want to go to Fenway. I want to see the park. I wouldn't mind catching a Red Sox game now. Yeah. I'm born and bred Chicago. I live down in Orlando now.
I lived in Chicago for 12 years.
For 12 years, yes. You said you did a small stint.
Yes, 12 years. We were in the western suburbs of Chicago for 12 years. We loved it there. We had great neighbors. Everyone's so nice there. The food scene is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you said western suburbs. It's been almost a decade since I've lived in Chicago. So my what western suburb were you?
So we were in Bloomingdale, which is just south of Schaumburg.
Bloomingdale's beautiful. I actually lived in Schaumburg for a hot minute.
Oh yeah, we were in Schaumburg all the time.
Yeah, right near Woodfield Mall. I used to work at TGI Fridays there, getting everyone.
Oh, I know exactly where you're talking about.
Yeah. So the food in Florida sucks. Don't come down here. Don't get me wrong. When you get South Florida and stuff like that, in Orlando, it's all chains. Yeah. Is there a food scene in Boston that's good?
It's getting better. I have to say, we've been back here since 2013, and I have seen a dramatic change in the quality of the restaurants here. And there are some really, really good ones that we enjoy. Actually, Portland, Maine is incredible for food. There's a lot of chefs who leave New York and Boston who go up to Portland because they want to have a little bit more freedom, a little bit more creativity. And that's a lot of fun to go up there too.
That was very hard for my brain to say Portland, Maine.
I know.
But I know it's a city. I know that there's the same city names in every state.
Yeah, it's a small city and it's really cool.
So and Chicago, you lived in Chicago for 12 years and now you're in Boston, and both of them have great music scenes if you're into that style of music. Yeah. Are you a Dropkick Murphys fan?
Love Dropkick Murphys.
Have you seen them live?
I have not. I have seen them in many performances on TV and things like that, because they just do a lot in this area. And, certainly when the Red Sox have won the World Series, they'll be in the parade and things like that. At a Red Sox game, if they win, they play Dirty Water first, and then they play Tessie from Dropkick Murphys.
Yes.
So everyone knows what to expect if the Red Sox win. And we go to about 10 games a year at Fenway. And so if you get a win, like we got a couple weeks ago, and that was really fun, we got to hear Tessie.
You get a nice little concert.
Yeah.
I'm a little jealous of the amount of games you get to go to.
Yeah, it's super fun.
So, and your one book was about food. It was about a chef. So this is not an unrelated question. I'm bringing it back around to the books. Do you prefer Chicago or Boston food?
Chicago for food, definitely. I like living near the ocean. And so the proximity to the ocean and mountains and Fenway Park, and, you know, I can go to multiple states very easily. Like I'm going, you know, I go on book visits to Rhode Island and Connecticut and New Hampshire and all that. It's just very easy here. Whereas in the Midwest, you know, I could get up to Wisconsin in an hour and a half, but you know, that was about it.
Wisconsin's got like Milwaukee, and then you got to go even farther to get any other tourist stuff.
Yeah.
No. I just want to make sure you still miss the food from Chicago.
I love the food in Chicago, and I'm going to go out there in September for the Printers Row Literary Festival. I'm really excited.
I will not be there for that. I will be elsewhere, but doing other things. But I hope you have a good time up there.
Thank you.
I want to make it at least 1 year in my writing career to you know, the places to be and stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited.
While you're there, have some Lou Malnati's if you like your pizza.
The best.
Thank you.
Love Lou's.
Lou's, Gino's East, anything else?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm a Lou's and Gino's East person.
I'm not a Giordano's fan. If you're doing thin crust, I like Rosati's, but that's just
me. Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay, you are an award-winning author. Let's talk about this for a moment. Be proud. You won an award. I looked it up. I look up awards when I can find what award, you know, an author has won. And you won the Eric Hoffer Award, who was a literary kind of icon, and they named an award after him and stuff, or a literary figure of importance, significance, named an award after him, and you won it.
I won one of them. I mean, there's a bunch every year.
Yes.
And I got pretty far in that contest with my debut novel, First Course. Yeah.
With your debut novel, First Course, which it also sounds like it is, and I didn't get to research that book, but it also sounds like it has to do with food.
All of my books do. I write about food a lot.
Are you a very food motivated person?
I am.
I understand. I understand completely. It's I had a good day. Let me eat something. Oh, that was a bad day. Let me eat something.
And it's also about, I think, you know, and this is what motivated a lot of First Course was, I like to cook for other people. So, and this is a lot about what First Course is about. And, you know, even if I like to try a little bit, you know, I don't need to eat a lot of what I make. I like to try it. I like to make sure it's good. I really enjoy, I think I have a really sharp palate. So one of my friends once told me, she said, I think you taste food differently than the average person. And she's the person who reads everything I write. We've been friends since high school. She's a middle school English teacher. She's a voracious reader. So she's a great person to read your writing, because she's able to tell you, you know, I have no idea what you're talking about here, or you need to bring this back around. You need to include more inner monologue, you know, things like that. But she was the one who said, I think you taste food differently, just about, you know, my descriptions and things like that. She goes, I think you think about food differently as well. So like my son is home from college for a night. He has to go to a job orientation tomorrow. And I immediately thought, okay, I need to make something. I need to make him a key lime pie. You know, I haven't made a key lime pie in a year. I'm going to make it. He comes home, he goes, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm making a key lime pie. And he's like, okay.
That sounds like I remember being in college, and that's what you do. Oh, you're making it cool. Okay, you're making it cool.
Yeah.
Very, very, everything in college, you have to be very mellow about things. You can't show excitement about anything.
No.
Yeah. Very, very, very relaxed. But no, key limes. If a key lime pie is made right, growing up Chicago, I never liked key lime pie. And then I tried one when I moved to Florida, and they're a little more closer geographically to where good key lime pie comes from. And I was like, oh, a good key lime pie is good. It's not just like this all around crappy food. So the recipe I
use is from Florida, actually. It's from Joe's Stone Crab.
Joe's Stone Crab.
Yeah.
I know I've never been. I don't eat meat
I think
anymore,
it's in
but
Miami. But
okay, okay.
it's a popular recipe on the internet, and it's their recipe, and that's the one I like the best. So that's the one I
See?
make.
I'm horrible with food. I love food. I'll eat anything. When I did eat meat, I found soup in the fridge that was like a week and a half old, and it was turkey soup, and I ate it. And my wife was like, "That's a week and a half old." I'm like, "Yeah, but it tasted fine to me." She smelled it and she goes, "This doesn't even smell good." And you ate a bowl of it. I was like, "I don't know. I just thought that's what soup smelled like." And like, I don't know if something's sweet or sour. Like, I hate pineapple. I hate pineapple. I've tried it grilled, sugared, salted, everything. Always tastes sour to me. Always tastes just wrong. And it is a gene thing, kind of like cilantro and the
Well, I was
soap
going to
gene.
ask you if you have the cilantro thing.
No, I don't have the cilantro thing. I love cilantro. I
Me
will
too.
make
I love it.
like handfuls of it. My wife's got the soap gene, so she wants to
Yeah.
try true cilantro, which is like cilantro, but for people with the soap gene, so they can actually see what it tastes like. I love cilantro, but I can't taste anything. And my wife's like, "How do I know my cooking's good?
Right.
If you eat food that's gone rotten," I'm like, "Because I like it. It's good." So it's she has more your palate, and then there's me going, "I don't know, food good." I wish I could taste things like that, and I can't. So I'm very jealous of you right now. I'm also jealous of that crown molding.
Yeah, I'm in my basement, which, we finished a few years ago, and it's a nice place to be.
I miss basements. Florida does not have
Yeah,
basements
no
because of the
basements
water.
in Florida.
No, not unless you want a swimming pool down there. And I miss them growing up, where I did. We moved down here and everything's like, for the most part, a ranch. You can get second stories, but they look weird with stucco. I'm
They
not a big
do,
fan of
yeah.
stucco and second stories.
But you have palm trees, and that is something that I'm a huge fan of because I wrote a whole book about my
Palms,
love of palm trees.
yeah, palms on the Cape. No, palms are great until you realize that certain species of palm are housing to palmetto bugs, which everywhere else in the nation knows as cockroaches.
Yeah.
And the only good thing about the cockroaches living in the trees is the little lizards we have will actually eat the roaches.
Oh,
So
that's good.
It's a whole cycle of life thing there. And then you have the snakes that eat them and the birds that eat the snakes. And it's a whole, because we have hawks down here plenty. And the wildlife in Florida is insane. That's all I'm saying. But I miss my concrete jungle of cities because Orlando to me is not a big enough city. Nothing against Orlando, but it's only 4 million people in the greater Chicagoland area. And that's what you get in the concentrated Chicago.
Right. It's huge.
Yeah.
Chicago just keeps expanding as far as it can.
Well, and I'm sure you've been because you live, not far from it. First time I went to New York, I was expecting Chicago.
Yeah.
And then I drove over the bridge. I don't even know what bridge I was on. It was like 80 West, something like that, or 80 East. And I drove over the bridge and the skyline comes up. And it was dark, so it was the city.
Yeah.
It is so huge. Chicago is a tiny little hamlet in the middle of nowhere. And then there's New York, and I just fell in love with New York, and I'm just kind of jealous that you live over there.
I was there at the end of January. I got together with 3 of my closest friends from college, and one of them lives there, and we had so much fun. It was great. I hadn't been in a few years, and it's amazing.
Yeah, no, when I went there, everyone was like, "Try the Chinese food. It's so good." And it's different from Chicago style. And I like Chicago style better, mainly what I'm used to.
Yeah.
Had the sushi, got a little sick. It was the marlin. But all in all, I will say that the reputation that New Yorkers have for being unfriendly is completely untrue.
Yeah, everyone was great.
Everyone's great. And I was learning how to drive stick, got stuck in a parking garage, and the guy stopped traffic so I could Ferris Bueller out of there. You know what I'm saying? And it was just,
I know exactly what you're saying.
The nicest people on the planet. But the way they talk is very close to Chicago. It's very it sounds harsh, and they're just kind of joking and stuff. So people are like, "Oh, they're mean." And I'm like, no, New Yorkers are so nice. So nice. Never, like I said, never been to Boston, so I'm a little jelly. That's right. I said jelly.
Well, and sometimes people will say that people in Boston aren't nice, and they actually are. They are what did I hear? They're not nice, they're kind. I think someone said that once, and I don't exactly know the difference. But they'll be kind of rude to you while helping you. Like what you said about like helping you get out of the garage. They might be like, what do you think you're doing? Okay, let me get you out of here,
Yeah.
So that's kind of how they are.
It's an inherent like ball busting,
exactly.
but they do it with love. They're
Absolutely.
like, hey, you need to learn from the situation. So like it's a teachable moment where they're going to make you feel a little odd about it, but at the same time, they're going to pat you on the back, help you out, send you on your way with the best wishes type stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Chicago's like that a lot too, but we're a lot more. I don't want to say discreet about it, but like professional. I have a cousin who does mortgage broking, and mortgage broking. I'm making up words.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how you would. Yeah, what the verb would be.
She's a mortgage broker, and she is very much like if you're doing something that is not professional, she'll let you know in the most professional way. And I'm like, this is just hysterical to hear her, because as a writer, we don't have to worry about that so much.
Right.
Like you don't want to come across as a guy, you don't want to come across as creepy to women,
Right.
And but if someone's doing, you can just be like you're fucking shit up, whereas she can't say that like that.
Right. No, but so she has to say it in this way. Like you can't go about it in the manner that you are, but she has to say it in a way that they don't realize that she's chastising them.
And Chicago is very much like that as a whole, because it's more of a professional kind of, like the downtown, especially. Yeah. Professional city. Now, bringing it, my segues are great. Bringing it back to the books. I have no segue ability, and that's why I think,
that's okay.
It's a fun thing. It's just jarring. Oh, this conversation's over. Moving on. It's my ADD. You write standalones.
Yes.
Do you have a reason why you don't write series and you just write standalones?
I think my attention. My attention span. I know exactly what it is, because especially in the genre that I write in, I mean, a lot of people are writing these series, and I think my attention span is too short. I think that's part of it. I think I write fairly short books. I mean, this Palms of the Cape is like 220 pages. Like it's not that long, and I think this is what I'm happy doing. I feel like the story is complete. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In my mind, I know where the characters are going, and I have put them in a good place, and we're ready to move on and tell another story.
So, okay. And this is something I agree with. I tend to write series. I'm trying to write more standalones because I want to just be able to write one story and be kind of done with the world or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of authors will be like, oh, this was one, and then I'm going to write a story from this person's perspective.
Right. Or your side character, something like that.
And I can understand doing one from like the main characters' perspectives, the his and hers or whatever.
Right.
But why don't you feel the need to write the stories from the side character's perspective? Like how do you have the ability to let that go?
I think, I love my side characters so much. I mean, and somebody recently, and she wouldn't tell me who, but she said there was a side character in this book that was like her favorite of the whole book. But I think that I just haven't felt, I think I have so many other ideas for other stories that I just haven't felt the compulsion to write one of their stories yet, but you never know. I mean, it could happen at some point, but for now, like I've written a fourth book. It's kind of, sitting with some people right now. I'm halfway through a fifth, and I know what my sixth book's going to be, and they're all different characters.
Sorry, there was a little bit of a lag there, but I did catch you up. Fourth, fifth, and then my brain just shut off on me.
Yeah,
this is what happens.
I have a sixth idea. Yeah, I know what I'm going to write from the sixth book. Yeah.
Oh my God, I had a question, and this is what happens because I can't write anything down, because I can't just be like writing stuff down, because then I won't. I'll think of that question in a second, because I had another one I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
One of the books in one of the reviews, and I believe it was the one with the Jeep on the cover.
Yeah, Considering Us.
Yeah. Considering Us, thank you, is a friends to lovers book. Yes.
Yes.
is a friends. Are they all friends to lovers?
No. First course, this is more of a two people who ended up sort of accidentally becoming acquainted. He had heard of her before, but they didn't, they just sort of got thrown together under some circumstances. So more of a situationship, you might call it. They get together pretty quickly. But this is definitely, these were people who got together 15 years, or considering us as one where they got together 15 years earlier, and then they were separated and have come back together under unusual circumstances, and they have to figure out their new situation. And he wants to jump right in, and she says, I think we need to get to know each other as adults. They had at first gotten together as college students, and so they become friends. And you know where that's going. And then Palms on the Cape is truly they're best friends. It is a true friends to lovers, slow burn. If you're familiar with the movie When Harry Met Sally, there is a very strong When Harry Met Sally component to it, which that movie asks the question, can men and women be friends? And the main character, Rachel Sinclair, is trying to hold on to that with her and Carlos, that yes, they are just friends, and everything along the way is telling her maybe not.
It's going to be a little something more than that. What is favorite's too too easy of a question. What is your least favorite trope that absolutely hurts you to no degree when reading romance of any sort?
It was funny. I was on a panel of 4 romance authors at an event a few days ago, and somebody asked this question at the bookstore. And
I'm glad it could be original.
It's a great question. And I think, and it's funny because what I said is something I actually put in my 4th book, and that's the miscommunication trope. And I did put it in my 4th book, but I didn't drag it out very long, where I've read some books where miscommunication goes throughout the entire book, and you're just so frustrated. You're like, come on, just talk to each other. And so I think that kind of bugs me. So when I do use it, I try to keep it brief, because we do miscommunicate as people and people in relationships. It does happen. But when it gets dragged on for, an entire book, it's a little bit too much for me.
Would you enjoy a book, or like if you hate that trope, but it's something's needed, changing it a bit to where the communication is miscommunicated because of maybe proximity, or like needing to, playing phone tag and leaving messages and just, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that would, you know what I'm saying are there ways you would be able to take a trope? I'll get to my question. Okay.
So I did that.
You know where I'm heading.
What I ended up doing was, he'd kind of left some information out, where she had, in a conversation, opened the door for him to tell her a bunch of things about his past. And he just kind of played it off and didn't offer a whole lot. And she accepted that at the time. And then she discovered, he wasn't being 100% open with me. And then it led her to worry, is he not who he appeared to be? And, then you've got to figure that out if you can trust this person.
So the question that has been kind of simmering around the water cooler lately where I live is, do romance books have to be happily ever afters in order to be considered romance, or can you have the tragic ending?
So my take is that it either has to be a happily ever after or a happy for now. I think of happy for now. I think of the movie Jerry Maguire, which I think definitely ends in a happy for now. Like, you don't really know. There's a lot of stuff with these people. You don't know if it's going to work out in the long term. But it's a satisfying enough ending. They're together at the end. And so I do think for it to be a true romance in the year 2026, I think you've got to do that, or you're going to really anger a lot of readers on Goodreads.
It's my goal. What would you
Because
consider
they can, they'll let you know.
Well, what would you consider the genre to be then? If it is a book of that's a love story of sorts.
Right. I think
But
I think in literary fiction you can do that for sure.
I need you to write my publisher. So I love it though. I love it because people have like, oh, it's either a happily ever after or a happy for now, or then you have the tragic ending. But I'm like, what about a uncertain for now? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you're riding off and it's kind of like instead of like even a happy for now like Jerry Maguire, it's more like the without the age gap, the
Lost in Translation.
Lost
Bill
in
Murray?
Translation or the Mrs. Robinson, The Graduate.
Graduate. Yeah. I
Yeah.
immediately thought of, when you said that, I immediately thought of Lost in Translation, which has this sort of like ambiguous ending. And you're like, what did he whisper to her? You know, and like, so, but you're right. The Graduate's definitely in that same camp.
And I and there's nothing wrong with beach reads because beach reads are much like pizza. You've lived in Chicago, you've had New York pizza, and people are always like, you can only like one or the other. And
No, you
different
can like
monsters.
Yeah.
The one week I was up in New York in my life, most of it was on Long Island, but one night we were in Queens and we got rip roaring drunk and went to like 3 different pizza shops and had 3 full slices of pizza. I don't know how the hell I didn't puke. Oh my God, is New York pizza good when it's real New York pizza?
I had a slice at Moynihan Hall, you know, by Penn Station. That was incredible. It was so good.
And it's a different monster going into a pizza shop in New York because you don't get like I'm not going to talk about food. I could talk about food all day, but it's a different monster. Anyone listening who's not been to New York, go to New York and have a slice of pizza.
Absolutely.
You won't be disappointed. But like beach reads, back to my point, Jesus Christ. Back to my point. Beach reads, like any other genre, are their own kind of entity. They're meant to be fun. They're meant to be almost uplifting, if you want to say that. Feel good.
Yeah.
Reads. They're beach reads. They're meant to be. They're meant to make you feel good. And it takes a different kind of writer to write that. And you have, in all appearances, from your bio and everything I can tell about your demeanor, a very nice life. Happy husband. You have kids. You know what I'm saying? Like a nice life. Writers are supposed to be tragic alcoholics. And as I drink a lot, you know, during the show, and I'm kidding about that for anyone listening. It's a joke. But like the stereotype of authors, you know what I'm saying? And it's I don't think that like Dalton Trumbo and, you know, Hemingway could have written beach reads.
No. And I've got what you're saying. I totally do. I've been a high school social studies teacher for 26 years. So I've gotten to know a lot of people. And education is like, I taught through COVID. I mean, you know, considering us was my reward to myself after teaching through COVID. I was like, I deserve to have a really good time. And I let myself have a really good time with this book.
And that's what people need, you know what I'm saying, are those feel-good reads, because right now, especially, and you talk about it aside, people need to feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
And there's 2 ways to do that. One with really good reads, not the website. But like really good beach reads, you know, feel good beach reads, and one really tragic reads that make them go, you know what, my life's not that bad.
Right.
That's all there is.
Some people go in that direction for sure.
Me and you have very different reader bases, and I love it because it's not like a competition. We're just laughing about the different, you know, the differences in it. One, thank you for being a teacher, because it sucks. You have so much bureaucracy and red tape you have to deal with. But you're a grade school, high school?
No, high school. I teach mostly seniors in AP government.
Government. Okay. Cause I was going to say social studies as a subject tends to be grade school, but if you're in high school, you're teaching government. I loved my history classes in high school.
Yeah.
I had great teachers, and a good history teacher really helps, because then hopefully the kids will pay attention and we won't be doomed to repeat it. So thank you for that. And actually, it was because of my teachers that my high school government classes make it into my books. So
Yeah,
thank
and
you.
that's what I did. What I did with considering us with, the main love interest, Kyle. I mean, he's a teacher at the boarding school, and he throws out these presidential facts all the time. And I had so much fun interjecting some of my favorite little quips into his character. So that's how I try not, like I said, I try not to, write things that are too close to me. But as you said earlier, we always take things from our own life and weave it into our stories.
But I think from that standpoint, interweaving clips of, your professional life as a teacher, not saying we're not professional authors, but as a teacher is not the same as being like, oh, Kyle is based on me as a person.
No.
Just, it's a very different thing to be able to weave those in. And that is a wonderful kind of way to do that and stuff. So you have the two books, third one's coming out July 2nd. You have a fourth book with readers.
It is with some literary agents right now. I don't know what's going to end up happening with it, but we will see. And that one is set on the North Shore of Massachusetts, and it is it's a sports romance, but it's from the coaches' perspectives. It is a female baseball coach and a male softball coach.
Ooh, changing it up there a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And softball is a fun sport to watch too, because the pitchers, and you always get those guys who are like, oh, but the pitching mound's only. I'm like, dude, have you seen these people pitch? You're
Try to do that.
You're not hitting their ball. No, that is a wonderful little twist on that for you. Yeah. What is the allure? Because I am not a beach read writer. And unfortunately, I don't get to read as many books as I would like to. So I don't get to read a lot of beach reads. What is the allure of New England and the beach read?
It's so funny because, Palms on the Cape, I have been, because it did get this sort of elusive thing called a starred Kirkus review, which only about 3% of books get. And so I was like, I need to really go hard with this book. So I've been reaching out to a lot of libraries across the country. And it's really funny that even libraries outside of New England, they're like, yes, Cape Cod in the summer, they're the Phoenix, Arizona library system is going to carry this book. But there is this interest, this allure. I don't know. Is it the Kennedys? I don't know.
Everything in the country can be it's the Kennedys. It's what they
Maybe.
did.
I don't know. But like people have, and everyone's always really interested. If they've never been there before, they're like, tell me about Cape Cod, and, but at the same time, I'm like, it's magical to me. So I can understand why people are interested in it.
Because you get the New England beach reads. What you don't get are like the California beach reads.
Yeah, not that much, right?
No. They'd all be surf stories because that's people's perception of California is if you're going to do beach reads, it'd be surf stories and stuff. And they did that with the movie Point Break. So,
right.
But New England, everything I hear about beach reads, it's East Coast, mainly up there.
Right. Ellen Hildebrand, Kristen Higgins, Jennifer Weiner, Meg Mitchell-Moore. There's tons of authors who are writing stories in this area. And I did worry about that a little bit. I'm like, when I started doing this, I'm like, has this just been done a lot? And then once I started marketing my first book and talking to people, they were like, I love reading places that I've been to or I've wanted to go to. And so that's part of it, I guess.
That's actually a great selling point. Not necessarily that we write. I mean, obviously we write wanting to sell our book and hopefully people will read it, but we're not like writing specifically be like, oh, they're going to like, it's not like a formula to that in terms of like, what we put in our book. But it is, people want to read places they know or places they want to go. Yeah. And as much as you are worried about it having been done to death, and then you didn't say to death, but been done a lot.
Did. Those were your words.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I said that. People like the familiarity. Like when it comes to like, say watching television shows, I'll watch the entire series of Friends once or twice a year.
Yeah.
Because it's familiar. We know it.
Yes.
It's comforting. and stuff like that, and other shows that I watch over and over, and I really need to start watching new shows. But people like that. And with books, instead of reading the same book over and over, which some people do, and authors love that, they have their books read multiple times by the same person, they want to read something else, another story in the setting they love. So to be, an author in that area, writing in that area, is just more fuel for the reader to add to their, fire. And I
always ask people at my book events, I say, what do you like to read? Or have you read something you've really enjoyed lately? And the answers are always really interesting. I did the Williamsburg, Virginia Book Festival at the beginning of March. And what I didn't realize about Williamsburg, I hadn't been there since I was a young child, is that a lot of people retire to Williamsburg because they like the history. And so the place was full of historical fiction readers, and I'm trying to sell New England beach reads to these people. And so I had to try to, figure some angles out with them. And I ended up having a very successful day, and I met some really lovely people, many of them from New England. They had retired to Williamsburg. So that helped me out a little bit too.
Yeah. Well, if they're with the historical read, they're like, oh, I like historical fiction. You're like, well, this will take you back to when you lived.
Right, exactly. Your own history.
And if they don't believe you, just show them that review from that guy who's like, I have no qualifications, but this was a great book. I absolutely think it's great. Like it's just, you seem to be really in touch with your audience, which is hard for a lot of authors.
Yeah.
I know when I do shows, I'm like, what do you like to read? I'm like, oh, how can I, show them, my stuff. How do you do, and please just don't say it's natural. How did you find that connection to be so natural?
So I think this is the teaching part of it. I think I'm so used to talking to people, even when it's awkward. So that kid who comes in your class on the first day of school and no one else is in there yet, and you're like, hey, how are you? So I'm used to, I've always said I can talk to anyone. And so I think that has helped me. I actually sell more books through in-person events than I sell online.
Yes.
Which I know there's a lot of authors who it's the other way around. They sell almost all of their books on Amazon, and they don't want to even, see the public. But for me, if I can make a personal connection with people, I end up usually doing very well. And so I think that has been my biggest asset, but that means that I'm doing book events all the time. I did, I've done so many in the last few weeks that I am taking a few weeks off because of softball season. But then once my book tour starts, I am pretty booked solid for about 3 months.
Oh, that sounds so wonderful. That sounds so wonderful.
It's going to be great. I love it.
Like, I have a hard time with the awkward people, and it's not when I'm at a book signing, I have a hard time with the awkward people. I have another business where I'm always around a lot of awkward, and I love them in that setting. But with books, it's very odd. Especially because one of my series is romance, so if you get female readers, it can get awkward very fast. And I'm just like, and I am not someone who wants to make things awkward.
Right.
But if it gets awkward, I get awkward. I grew up idolizing like Matthew Perry.
Yep.
The way he is on screen, and he just gets more awkward. So I'll get more awkward. And when you're talking about books with sex in them, getting awkward becomes extraordinarily uncomfortable really fast, and I feel horrible about that because it's never my intention. So I really need to teach. I think I need to go into teaching so I can learn to get better about that.
Deal with awkward moments.
Yeah, but I was that kid, by the way, who would make you like, oh God, he's here already. Like junior high and high school, we were allowed in. Nowadays it's like you don't get in before 15 minutes. into the building before 15. I was in there an hour and a half, 2 hours before school even started, just chilling in the hallway, doing homework, doing whatever, because I was up. I had nothing else to do. So
where you were going to be?
Yeah, drinking my cherry 7-Up and just sitting in the hallway. It was, teachers thought I was weird. I was weird though, but it was okay.
Weren't we all, right?
Yeah. Now, okay. Favorite cuisine, because you cook a lot.
Yeah.
What is your favorite to eat?
I like French bistro food. For my birthday this year, we went to a restaurant in the south end of Boston called Aquitaine and had I had a really good salad, had steak frite, and we split profiterole for dessert. That is perfect for me. It's cozy.
So I want you to know that, having never been to Boston, but knowing what I know about Boston, and basically that it's Irish people and Dropkick Murphys, that's my knowledge of Boston. Yeah, I would never imagine a good French restaurant in Boston.
Any city, I think any major city. I went to a good French bistro in West Palm Beach, Florida once. I mean, I think that, a lot of cities have a place like that.
They have to, yeah. Now, do you enjoy cooking French?
I do.
No?
In the winter. That's
winter.
That's my favorite thing in the winter is to make French food. Usually once a year I'll make a beef bourguignon. I love doing a roast chicken, things like that.
Okay, as someone who's not a big beach read fan, I think I need to. I think I need to read them because I need stuff that's going to make me feel good. You froze. Okay, you're back. Do you ever write winter scenes, or are they only summer?
Yeah, no, I do. In considering us, it's mostly actually in the fall, and it ends in it's just before it's just before Christmas. Like, the Christmas lights are starting to come out. They've had a few snowflakes, things along those lines. Palms on the Cape ends on Christmas Eve. So, and there's some really bad weather on the Cape during that time. So I do put some different seasons in my stories. I tend to, the one about the baseball and softball coaches, that's in the spring in New England, which is like not really much of a season. It's just a bunch of mud and rain usually. And they're just constantly getting frustrated because it is so hard. My kids both have played baseball and softball for years. And I mean, right now my daughter has a softball game like every single day because we were rained out for so many games. So you're just constantly dealing with those issues of, horrible spring weather. So I did write that in that book.
That is wonderful. Chicago winters or Boston winters? Which one would you rather live through?
I can handle Boston winters a little bit more. I mean, we have had this last winter was tough, but I think it was for a lot of people in different places. I mean, even Florida. I mean, there were parts of Florida that had real cold weather this year.
We actually I saw icicles for the first time in 10 years.
Yeah.
We have fountains, because it's endless summer
Right.
down here, but it froze and there were icicles hanging down the fountain. But growing up Chicago, the -70, the -60,
Right.
I'm okay with that. Not like I'm going out in shorts in it or anything, but I'm okay with that weather. I saw videos of the ice storm, and this was before AI.
Yeah.
This was before AI and computer graphics, CG wasn't good enough to do what I saw. So I knew it was real, but it looked fake. And it was the ice storms coming up on the coast. And I was just like, this can't be real, but it was. And I was just like, no, I'll take the blizzards and the 6 feet of snow and the 40 below wind chills and over this. I don't know. Like, that was just insane to watch.
We had a really extreme one when I was in college in Maine in 1998. And, that was before cell phones that we have now. I mean, cell phones were, like this big thing you had in a bag, and all that kind of stuff. And we didn't have phone service or electricity or even heat for a few days in college. And it was really something. After a couple of days, we all walked to the nearest hospital and called our parents from a payphone. The college had somehow communicated to parents that we were okay. But it was really something. Like, I think now it would be very different, but yeah, we couldn't walk on the quad. They had it all, yellow taped up because all you would just hear were these huge ice covered branches just crashing down from these huge old trees.
Yeah. You don't want to be below those.
Pretty extreme.
No, my freshman year of college was 98, 99, and I'm sure that was your freshman year as well.
95, 96 for me.
Okay, so we would have been in high school for you would have graduated high school as I was entering. Yeah.
Yeah, I graduated in 95. Yeah.
That was 95. Yeah, that was my freshman year. college years, and it's funny because when we talk to, you know, the younger generation and we tell them about any story from the college days, I have to mention my pager.
Yes. Right.
And they're like, what are you like?
You're like, what were you involved in?
They don't grasp it. And I love it because it was so just like, yeah, this was life. You have your pager, people page you, and you have your significant other, and they're thinking of you. They send you 143, you know what I'm saying? And
then you'd have to go to a payphone, you know, to make a phone call to call the person back.
But then it's just like or when you were at the mall and you call collect home, call from mom, come pick me up, you know, and then they reject the call and come pick you up and stuff. And it was just like, I don't want to say it was better times. It was different times. But from, I think, a writing aspect, and please let me know your spot on this. This is why I'm bringing it up. Was it a better time to write about than modern days?
Yeah, I mean, I think that now if I don't include things about people using their cell phones, like I told you, my friend who reads all my stuff, she's always like, well, I think in this case they'd be on their phones. I'm like, I didn't even think about that. I think in some weird ways, especially when I'm talking about younger people, I'm putting myself back into those years, and we weren't on our phones, you know?
We didn't have them.
No.
We were still checking voicemail when we got home.
And that was what was so fun about writing Considering Us, was because when Devon and Kyle first got together, they were in college, and it was very different technology. And you know, he's making her this mix CD where you have to like burn a CD and all that stuff. And you know, at the time I asked some younger writer friends, I'm like, do you know what this means? Because I just want to make sure this isn't going to fall on a lot of deaf ears. And they're like, oh yeah, I've heard of this.
I've heard of this. Oh my God. I loved making mixtapes just for myself. Be like, yeah, I like these songs off these albums, make a mixtape, pop it in the car, and you have that one tape that you play over and over.
Right, exactly. My husband still has some of our old mixtapes, and sometimes when he's doing work in the room behind me, we've got an old, tape deck, and he'll play some of those.
Oh, that is wonderful. Your husband sounds like a fun guy.
He's great. He's been super supportive, and Palms of the Cape is dedicated to him because he's very supportive of this. And I don't think either of us had any idea what we were getting ourselves into when I decided to start writing. And but yeah, no, he's been awesome.
It's nice to have a support system because I know there are people that don't. So it's very nice. Tell him he's a good guy. Tell him I said he's a good guy. He'll have no idea who I am. It's okay. So where can we find you? Tell everyone who's listening, because if they're not already Googling it and finding and buying your books, where can we follow you and follow along with you and all that? Give us it all.
Yeah. So I am on primarily Instagram and Facebook at the same handle. It's at Jenn, that's Jenn with 2 N's, Jenn Bouchard, BOS. The BOS is for Boston. And you can also find me on TikTok at Jenn Bouchard. I don't do much on there. It still is kind of awkward for me, but I sometimes will put up, some of the reels and stuff that I'll put up on Instagram because I know a lot of people are there and they enjoy seeing things. So my website is jennbouchard.com. I have my summer events so far listed there. So please, if you are in any of the areas that I'll be, I'm going to be a lot in the Northeast, but I am going to be down in Nashville. I'm going to be down in the DC area and some other places that are, possibilities for later in the year. So please check it out. And I'd love to see you at an event.
Thank you so much. Oh no, I've had so much fun, and
great.
I just thank you because I'll ask questions and they just go off. I go so far off the rails sometimes. So thank you for constantly being like, and in this book, and I was hoping I'd ask more questions about Palms on the Coast, but apparently Considering Us is where all my questions led back to. So,
and that's fine because it's available, now. And
that one's available now.
Yeah.
one piece I always ask everyone, if you can give one piece of writing advice to an aspiring writer, what would that be?
I would say to, and I know it sounds kind of cliche, but believe in yourself, have the confidence to do this. Really try not to get discouraged, because it can be very discouraging. It can feel very isolating sometimes. Try to find other writers, try to find a community. It really is helpful if you've got other people, even if they don't write what you write, to bounce ideas off of each other, to have a conversation about the writing life. I mean, look, Nick and I write different things here, and we're able to have a nice conversation. If you both write, you have something in common, and it is really helpful to find people to talk to, and as we all do this together. But have confidence in yourself and keep going. Your story is worth it.
Thank you. That is a very positive, uplifting message, as beach reads are very fun, positive books in the ultimate sense. So I think it's nice to have an uplifting piece of advice like that. I want to thank you for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk with you, and do stick around after the credits so me and you can chat. But for everybody who's listening, go follow her at Jenn Bouchard, Bouchard, and it's 2 N's in Jen, and then BOS for Boston at the end of that. Or if you're a Fallout fan, Brotherhood of Steel, just BOS. You'll remember that. I had to throw in my Fallout plug. I love Fallout. We're not sponsored by them, but Bethesda, come on, help us out. But follow her. Get her books at Amazon. She's got the 2 out right now, Considering Us, and the other one, which I want to say is called First Choice.
First Course.
First Course.
First Course.
This is what happens when you have ADD and you've been drinking, is you remember the C and you just make shit up. First Course, Considering Us, July 2nd, Palms on the Cape come out. I finished off that bottle of writer's tears, and this is what happens. And I've been trying to finish that off, and I finally was like, I'm just doing it. But go pick it up. Pick it up on Amazon. Check out that review on Goodreads, because that's just freaking the best review I've ever read in my life. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. Follow Drinking with Authors, all that jazz. I'm not going to sit here and beg. I love you all. And just remember, until next time, it costs nothing to be kind. So just be kind. It's just that easy. I'll see you.
Thank you for listening to Drinking with Authors. Join us next time for another fun conversation with an author over drinks.